Liam, Garnacho described it as one of the toughest games of the season so far. How do you see it?
Agree. That's everything. That's every reason why the FA Cup is what it is. I thought Wrexham were magnificent in their energy and how brave they were in their press and how they played. And we had to be a high level. We were pushed all the way by a very good team tonight.
What about the character had to show as well? What perhaps did you learn about you players that you maybe didn't know?
To be honest, nothing new. We went 1-0 down early against Aston Villa. We were 2-0 down at half-time against West Ham. We have to find a way to not be in that position, but what the players are showing me, no matter who's on the pitch, there's a really good spirit and a belief and a determination to win games of football, which we're going to need for the rest of the season.
I mentioned Alejandro. Is he maybe finding his best form, do you feel?
I feel he's in a good place. Here at Ali's in a great place. His goals top. His energy levels for 120 minutes were magnificent, considering he played a full 90 on Wednesday. He's in a really good place, and it's really, really good to see him get his form in a really important stage of the season.
One final thing for me, what were your thoughts on the red card and the thoughts on the
It was high
as well?
They're both correct decisions for me. I know it's frustrating. Any challenge that's dangerous, it's a dangerous challenge, and if you're offside, you're offside. It doesn't matter how small the margins are. We needed elements of luck today because Wrexham were that good in terms of their performance.
Simon?
Is one of the sort of issues that you need to sort out since they came is just the ability to control games football, because even against
10 men, yeah. It's the same against Crystal Palace about 6 weeks ago when I first joined. We played really well with 3-0 up. We have control. And we need to find a way to get us to game manage better. But in these cup ties, when the emotions, you can feel the emotion of the game. They're very difficult games to play in. We won't be the only team in the Premier League in this round who are going to find it difficult against lower level opposition. We need to find a way. But also, what's that? I think 15 games, 10 wins now. It's not a bad place to be. So we just need to keep working. We need to recover. We've got a big game on Wednesday that we need to start preparing for now.
What does it come down to? Is it sort of people not playing as a team?
I don't agree. I think we're playing as a team. I think we're playing against very good opposition at times who are going for it. Wrexham threw caution to the wind. It's a cup tie. They had big key for more. Josh Windass, a good player coming on. They put balls in our box from corners and from wide areas, and it's something that we need to improve, but it's something we're improving on, something that's actually quite good at the moment.
Nizar?
Hi Liam, can you explain a bit about the rotation? Because I feel like there might be a bit of criticism from maybe the first half and the style of play.
Yeah, that's the risk that you take. We are going into a period of games where, for example, Romeo Lavia can be really important to us. He has to play minutes. We have to get him to speed. Dario Asugo, we have to give him the time on the pitch. And it's not just about your first 11 or your first 12 players to get us to where we want to be. And the only way that our players and our squad are going to help us to achieve what I think is possible is for them to be sharp and ready. So that's a risk that you take by rotating, but it's also the trust I have in the group to make sure we win games and get the squad in the best possible shape.
Was it a bit of the ends justifies the means, and also could I ask about the 120 minutes as well? Is that any issue going into PSG in terms of tiredness?
No, I don't think it will be because of the way that we're rotating. I don't think that will be an issue going into PSG. The most important thing is that we were through this round. And also what I would say is it's not guaranteed if you start your first 11 that these games become easier. These are tough games. And also the amount of games that my squad have had in the last 18 months is the biggest in the world. So at some point I have to trust the group. They repaid my trust with the result tonight, and I'll keep making strong decisions based on where I think we can get to at the end of the season.
John?
Liam, I was going to ask you about Lavia and Asugo, actually two players that we haven't really seen much of in the last couple of weeks and months. What do you make of their respective performances tonight, and how do you see them going forward?
Very good. It's brilliant for Romeo to get his 60 minutes because we've done his rehab in a different way. Where we've been more patient. We've built him up in a different way in terms of his rehabilitation, and Dario the same. So for them to both get 60 minutes in today is brilliant because we're going to need everyone for the running.
It's good to see Asugo getting the assist, but maybe a feeling that maybe Lavia was a little bit behind the game at moments. Did you feel that or not really?
I can't remember his last game for a player. Early November, so 4 months out. I don't know, any player who's been out for 4 months is not going to be perfect, but some of the things that he's going to give us, his performance coming on at Arsenal was top. His performance at Aston Villa was very, very good. He's a top player, but you can't expect perfection for a player who's been out for 4 months.
Jack? Simon asked about whether it's the team not gelling in terms of not being able to control. Do you think it's more of a mental thing, maybe a complacency at times?
No, I think you've got to take into account, again, when you make changes, there's a rhythm and a consistency in the rhythm that you need. That's definitely true. That's a risk as a manager that you take. But also, if you don't give the players the opportunity to play, you'll never build that continuity in the long term. I'm still learning about this group. I've been at the club for 2 months. It probably feels like longer for everyone because we've had so many games. I'm still learning. I'm still learning about what our players are capable of, how they see the game. But like I've just said, we've put ourselves in a really strong position in every competition since I've joined. And I'm learning. I think it's 15 games and 10 wins, 2 draws, and 3 defeats. It's not a bad place to be. And what we now have to do is make sure that we capitalise on the position we're in all of the competitions.
In terms of the first half and the rotation, and like you said, trying to give people opportunities, do you feel maybe what you take from that first half is that you might not be able to rotate as heavily the further you go in quarter-final of the FA Cup now, latter stage of the Champions League?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're making decisions as you go. And I promised the group when I came in that I would make decisions on my time with them. I've analysed everything before I've come. That's my job. But you learn about your players when you work with them, the detail that you give them, who understands it, who doesn't. But no, I've got some very, very good players. I've got a very, very good squad, and we just need to keep working in this way to get to where we want to be.
Yeah, listen, the lads have been immense for us tonight. Everything we set out to do in terms of the performance level, I felt we achieved the kind of discipline and the tactical understanding of what was required, the speed of our pressing and the quality with the ball. I think that's really important because when we came into the game and prepared for it, we said, lads, we're not just setting up to stop Chelsea tonight, we're setting up to create opportunities and play. And I felt we always carried a threat on the night, and of course the dressing room is quiet, which you'd expect after a defeat. But when we wake up tomorrow, I think the lads can be immensely proud, and the supporters will be, of the way we've played.
How much pride as well do you take in the fact that you were still creating big opportunities when you were down to 10 men?
Yeah, well, everybody who's played football knows that 11v10 into extra time, when so much energy has been used, is a difficult ask. But we said at the break of the extra time that there's a moment, there isn't, there nearly was with the disallowed goal. And then we've had other chances, Lewis's left foot shot, to have taken the game to penalties. So I think on the night we deserved the very least to go to penalties, and some big calls have gone against us.
Yeah, with regard to those big calls, 2 VAR interventions, the red card and the disallowed goal, what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, first taste of VAR here at the Stoke Carras Stadium. And I think I know the rule is it's got to be a clear and obvious mistake to the on-pitch decision to be changed. And I think the ref's got to back his judgment of the real-time kind of instant and the moment. Of course, when you get called over a screen, which I don't think you should have done, and you kind of analyse it and scrutinise it, we'll say that he's caught him on the shin, but he's scraped his shin. But he's in a great position to see the initial incident, and I think it's very harsh and should have been kept with the on-pitch decision. The offside's the offside, it's marginal, is Kiefer's header going in anyway, but Brunty, you're always going to finish that off in that situation, is marginal, so we can't complain if that was offside. But I think the red card, and now to lose a player for 3 games, is a tough decision, and I really don't agree with VAR sending the ref to the screen, and once the ref's gone to the screen, him changing his mind, because he's had a great view of it.
And when you look at it, you said the lads were obviously disappointed in the dressing room. Is there any sense that you've got to lift them, because in theory you've got 11 bigger games or so to go now between now and the end of the season to maybe be playing Premier League football next season and having VAR more regularly as well?
Yeah. Well, certainly it won't knock us tonight, because we will take the positives of the evening without doubt, and we're on a good run in the league, and we'll regroup now and get ready for what will be a terrific game here on Tuesday night against Hull City.
Rob and Ryan, Senior, have they had anything to say?
I spoke to them both before the game. I haven't had a chance yet, but I'm sure we'll have a chat later, and they're here with their families, and it was a night. We've had many of those types of games here at the stadium over the years, and quite often we've come out on top in those tight goal-scoring high-scoring games. Tonight it wasn't to be, but we came very close.
Supporters' reaction at the end said it all felt.
Yeah, I think that was fantastic. The supporters, the way they recognised what the lads had given on the pitch tonight, and that means a lot because you see stadiums emptying when teams are getting beat, but every single supporter stayed in the ground to clap the team off tonight.
Fantastic finish by Sam and from Dial, who had a fantastic game. The ball put through to put you 1-0 up.
Yeah, I mean Sam, carried a real threat tonight. It was a great run and a good finish. He had another chance when he checked back in as well. But yeah, no, I thought he played well. It's a good test for us tonight. I said to Sam, you're playing against good centre halves. The Lap's £60 million player playing for them. People will be, let's hope people are talking about you after the game, and they so nearly were because those moments, could and maybe should have been, part of a winning performance.
And after getting pegged back, go back and make it 2-1. Probably the only disappointment being the lead didn't last very long, 4 minutes.
Yeah, just a slip on the edge of the box, and we got punished for it. Which, of course, you'd rather that didn't happen, but it did. You get setbacks within games of football, and it's how you respond. And I was pleased that when those moments happened, the sending off, the goal, we kept going and kept believing there was something in the game for us.
They'll know that they were in for a game now tonight.
I think that was important, and ever since me and Steve have been here, we've said that any team who comes to this ground has got to know they've been in a proper game of football, and that was.
And you said about everybody watching be proud, but you must be very proud of your players as well.
Yeah, because tactically against Chelsea, it's obviously they play a similar style to teams that we come up against at our level, but they're just better at it and they've got better quality players executing their game plan. And I thought that we coped with that really well. We were comfortable in our shape, but yeah, there's equal importance that we looked good in possession, and you've got to remember the players we've got out of that midfield as well, and so I had to change the midfield around a lot recently, but the lads who came in did brilliantly.
Phil, I know you don't like to look too far ahead, but this could be a glimpse into the future, couldn't it?
Well, that's got to be the aim, whether it's this year or going forward, that playing these teams, that's what it's all about, having nights like this. That's what you're in football for. We'd worked really hard to get to this stage with the Forest win and the Ipswich win, and we wanted to kind of embrace the night, and we did. And yeah, of course, you're in football to be involved in big games like tonight.
Phil, just following up on that, when you look at them making 9 changes and you look at the names on their bench and just the sheer outlay they've made in their squad, is that maybe a timely reminder to everyone involved in this project about what that next step, how big that next step is, whether you make it this year or 2-3 years down the line? Yeah,
listen, it's a huge gulf, isn't it, between the spending power and the Premiership and where we are in the Championship and where we've come so quickly. But it would be nice to have to try and bridge that gap. Obviously, never going to do it financially, but in terms of finding other ways to get quality in the squad.
You mentioned how quiet the dressing room was there afterwards. Do you leave them to it, or do you say a few words then? How do you deal with it?
No, we had a chat after the game about the performance, and this performance and the result will not make us flat for Tuesday. It's going to lift us, and that's the way we're going to approach Tuesday night's game.
Phil, you're used to a lot of attention on this club. This is a different level, isn't it? And when you talk about the pride, is it because you show what not just your team's about, what you're about, but what the club's about?
Well, I always say in these interviews, obviously not quite as many people, not as many people normally here, but over the years, that the team's got to reflect the town. What the people of Wrexham are all about, and that's what we've always tried to do. And I'm pleased that we did that tonight, and that's very important.